Okay, we'll go ahead and start recording. So, base units there. I think any reasonable person of science should know micro, milli, centi. So that's, of course, 10 to the negative 6th, 10 to the negative 3rd, 10 to the negative 2nd. You should know kilo and mega right off the top of your head. 10 to the 3rd, 10 to the 6th. And giga is 10 to the 9th. It's really nice if you know nano. That's a terrible 9. My apologies. So, I think any reasonable person of science should at least have those sort of committed to memory. I'm not going to give them to you. Face covering, please. Thank you. You will get a note card in this class. And I usually don't give them first chapter. I usually give them to you second chapter because that's when you start getting formulas. But, when you get your note card, if you want to put these on it, that's fine if it's Dumbo's feather. But once you use them enough, you'll have it. Do you have specific questions about doing any of the conversions? Okay. Did we talk about the Brazilian trick? Did I talk about that in the video? And I apologize. I intended to do that bigger batter live, but yesterday was a surprise for me. So I just tossed up an old class discussion. This is converting kilometers per second to meter, or kilometers per hour to meters per second. So if you are going 32 meters per second, what's your rate of speed in kilometers per hour? With bigger batter, as you know, big trick is making sure that your units are separated. So we know we're going to want meters to cancel. So we can do kilometers there. We know we want seconds to cancel. So we can do hours there. This one is not great either. And so how many meters in a kilometer? Well, 1 kilometer is 10 to the 3rd meters. If you haven't had me before, I preach the gospel of the power of 10 always goes with the base unit. You can do it either way. You can say that 10 to the negative 3rd kilometers equals 1 meter, but then you're having to flip powers of 10. You're having to do all kinds of craziness. Just if you just memorize those powers of 10 that are in that table, and always put the power of 10 with the base unit, you can't go wrong. Seconds. So 1 hour is 3,600 seconds, or 3.6 times 10 to the 3rd. Does anybody see a shortcut? You just get rid of the times 10 to the 3rds. They cancel. So this was what we came to call a couple years ago the Brazilian trick, because I had 2 Brazilian foreign exchange students. Remember that the rest of the world all lives on the metric system. If you go across our northern border, once we're allowed to do that again, to a country that measures things metrically, the speed limit on the QEW is like 110 kilometers per hour. Is that faster or slower than speed limits on highways in the U.S.? It's slower. So the Brazilians were really used to just converting kilometers per hour to meters per second. They're like, oh, just multiply by 3.6. Oh, yeah, you can do that. Now, that is the Brazilian trick. You can use it, but you darn well better know where it comes from. The fact that you're canceling out those 10 to the 3rds. Have you finished the practice sheet? Do you want paper copies of the practice sheet? Practice sheet? You're working on that today, I assume. So, if you've watched the videos, that essentially subbed for my live lecture. You can work on those practice problems, and I can float around to answer specific questions. Okay, so I will have a paper copy of the practice sheet that's linked in the chapter plan. And beyond that, today, you're just going to work through those practice problems, ask specific questions. If you get stuck on anything, check yourself on that key, because that will tell you if you're on the right track or not. That's it. And then I think, based on that, because basically you did lecture yesterday, practice today, so we'll FIP tomorrow. So those couple of homework questions should be turned in tomorrow.